Number 1 is to identify areas of unfinished learning from this school year. The typical approach to remediation, going back to try to cover content from the previous grade level, will likely compound the problem and create a greater learning gap. To accelerate students' progress, educators need to identify exactly what unfinished learning needs to be addressed, when, and how. We are following the recommendations of SDCOE and TNTP, among others, in identifying the content knowledge and skills your students might struggle with in their current grade level and filling those potential gaps just in time when the material occurs during the school year. When you start looking at your instructional planning process for the 2021 school year, you'll want to think about adapting your scope and sequence for each subject area to reflect where you might need to provide acceleration support. That is, support for any unfinished learning due to our transition to distance learning. Before you adapt your scope and sequence, it's important to talk with your colleagues within your grade band about skills that were either not addressed or only partly addressed. So you're going to start by clicking on the SD Catholic Grade Level Articulation Guide. You'll see ELA and Math. You'll also see the domains for ELA, and you'll see the Math Framework cluster headings. You'll see all of the grade levels in the tabs below, so you can click on them to see your grade level. And each grade level also has a link that goes directly to that grade level's standards and frameworks. So the purpose of this document is to assist schools and teachers in communicating unfinished learning at the school level. So when I click on the 4th grade, I see the Grade 4 Standards and Framework documents. I'm going to access that, and I put an asterisk next to that grade level documents that you'll be using for this particular task. So the 4th grade mathematics framework and the California Common Core State Standards for ELA. I'm going to go through each of those, and in the Common Core ELA, I'm going to look for each of these domains, and I'm going to list the skills and standards that were partially addressed or not addressed. Then for math, I'm going to look at the 4th grade math framework, and I'm going to go through each of my cluster headings, and I'm going to do the same thing, list skills and standards that were only partially addressed or not addressed. I can also make other notes over here in this column. Once I do this, I'm going to communicate with both the 3rd grade teacher and the 5th grade teacher or teachers about the unfinished learning for that year, what that might look like, and what to expect for the following year. The 3rd grade teacher will give me helpful information for my instructional planning, and I'll be able to provide the 5th grade teacher with some background and context on what the students learned and what they didn't learn.